welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of the Final Fantasy Legend 2. When we last left off, we had just finished the Shogun's World, and we defeated the Shogun and his father Magnate, who were trying to abuse Magi, gather Magi up, and now we have 67 Magi, and that's a good number, because that gives us one of the best uses of the trash can glitch. Now, you can use the trash can during some other numbers of Magi, but 67 and 68 are the best uses of it. So with the trash can glitches, I'm setting up my Magi in a certain amount to maximize the amount. If you have your Magi set up in a certain way, and I'll list it in the video description, you can get up to 72 uses of the trash can. Now at 67 Magi, if you use the double click on the trash can, you can use it as a strength potion. So I just basically maxed out Vincent's strength right there. Just because Vincent, that glitch prevents him from gaining strength on his own. I won't be using any strength weapons for Vincent, because otherwise that would kind of be cheating, because his stat is artificially inflated. I just did that because at the end of the game, when I max out my characters, that's the only way to max out Vincent's strength, so it's kind of my, like, OCD, but I will not be using any strength weapons for Vincent, so I won't be able to take advantage of that 99 strength that he now has. Now, at 68 Magi, you can do the same glitch with the trash can, but this time, the trash can will function as an agility potion. So you can use it to raise a character's agility by 3. Now, I will not be doing that because I'm using agility-based weapons for Linus and Vincent, and that would kind of be, cheating in a sense, because, like I said, I'm using agility-based weapons for the mutant and Vincent and the human Linus. So, but yeah, most people use it, like I said, at 67 and 68, because that's the best uses of them. Other times you can use them as like a full heal potion. I'll have a link in to the game FAQs thing about the trash can glitch, and that'll explain about the setup to get the max 72 uses of the trash can glitch. So now we'll be able to get our 68th Magi in the next world here, which is kind of an optional world. Optional in that it's one big dungeon, and you don't have to go through the entire dungeon. You can pretty much enter the dungeon, take a few steps, and grab the Magi out of a treasure chest right at the beginning of the dungeon, and then leave and head to the next world. However, if you do that, you're going to miss out on a lot of treasure, a lot of unique treasure. Toward the end of the dungeon, there's a lot of treasures that you can't find anywhere else, so the only way to get some of these items is to go through the nasty dungeon. So besides a bunch of really good treasure, another good reason that you'd want to go through the nasty dungeon is because the monsters inside of it are very, very tough and high rank, which means that you're most likely going to get a lot of stats going through this this dungeon. So, and of course, because I always do 100% Let's Plays, I will be going through the entire dungeon to show off the monsters and all the treasure chests within. So, look at that, we're getting agility, mana up. So here's the entrance to the dungeon, and there's the treasure chests. This dungeon is mean and nasty. Better not go in. Magi, I have one in this box, but not anymore. It's the Pegasus Magi. Very unique Magi. What the Pegasus Magi does is you select it, and you can warp to any town that you've previously been to in any world. So I will be showing that off once I finish the first floor here of the nasty dungeon, because I'm just going to get a bunch of treasure chests here, and then I'll warp out, sell those treasure chests, so that then that way, when I come back to raid floor 2 and the subsequent floors, I will have pretty much an empty inventory, so I can get the most treasure. So I've got the adamant total. Remember, it was a boss on the racetrack, the dragon racetrack. So we saw earlier that we also got some more stats. And Vincent's gained some hit points there. Yeah, you can see we've only had about, what, 5 battles, I think, so far? 4 or 5 battles here. And most of the times we've already gained stats on all the battles. So, here's an interesting group, popular group. The Wraith there is the ghost in the middle, an annoying type enemy. And the Wraith is actually going to be a monster that P will transform into. It's one of the steps necessary to eventually have P turn into the next level crab monster, which is the ice crab. So, that ice crab will have a blizzard spell, just like the one that Vincent has. So, yeah, P will finally be able to get a multi-targeting attack, so good for him. So, yeah, even though he's had a strong single attack for the most part with his W pinchers, he'll finally be able to hit whole groups of enemies. So, we got the strength potion there we can use for Linus, and the body potion increase 40 hit points on Vincent. Because even though he gained some hit points earlier, mutants gain hit points and other stats slower than the humans. So, we have an interesting monster, the Fire Moth. I say interesting because even though it's a Fire Moth, you'll notice it does not have an immunity to fire. You can actually hit the Fire Moth with fire and it'll take normal damage from it. So, I don't know if that was a programming error. They forgot to maybe code that for the monster there, but well, we'll take advantage of it if we can. So, yep. Most of the time, you know, you get a monster that has an element in its name, and it's usually strong against that element. So, but for some reason, it's not the case with the Fire Moth. So, Fire Moth, as you can see, is also weak against Cat Claws from Honey Mouse. And Judo and Thunder. There we go. Local nightmare horses. So, I remember the first time I played this game and went through this dungeon. I didn't think it was that bad at all, because it pulls a nasty trick. I guess that's another reason why they call it the Nasty Dungeon, on the second floor. So you run into a dead end, or what looks like a dead end. So the first time I played this game, I just cleared out floor number 1, and I was like, okay, now I head to floor number 2. I went down there and I got to this dead end, and I was just like, this is it? This is the only dungeon? I was like, wow, this wasn't a bad dungeon at all. And then I ran into a little bit of trouble in the next world, because there's a tough boss in the next world, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go back and grind some stats back in the Nasty Dungeon. And as we're just wandering around the Nasty Dungeon, I just, you know, accidentally ran into the wall that I thought was a dead end, and found out that, oh wow, this is a fake wall. So, yeah, it opened up a whole bunch more of the dungeon. So here we'll get to see Vincent will use some fire on the Fire Moth, and we'll see it'll take normal damage. So, defeated 1 actually. So, Honey Mouse even still able to one-shot things with that laser sword. I think because it's her agility is over 99, even though 99 is displayed. So, that's good. So, we got one more chest to pick up here on the floor, and then I'll show off what that Pegasus Magi does. So, we'll skip that little turn up, head this way, grab this chest, the Ogre Axe, another strength-based axe. So let's use our Magi, go to use, hit, go find the Pegasus Magi. We'll switch some Magi up here, we'll give Vincent mana, that way it'll help all his spells out, not just well, fire does that as well, but So now we use the Pegasus Magi and we're able to warp. We warp to this town here and we can sell a bunch of these items that we don't necessarily need. So we have extra dragon armor, we can sell that, sell the ogre axe. So only sold 2 things, but still, by the end we're gonna, you're gonna see we're gonna be pretty tight for inventory space. So now we can use the Pegasus Magi again. We can warp right to the beginning of the nasty dungeon. So it can also be a good way to. This dungeon's mean and nasty. Yep, better not go in. Yeah, so she skips that part about having the Magi because we already took it. The Pegasus Magi can also be a good way if you're stuck in a dungeon and you're maybe running out of gear. You need more weaponry. You ran out of spells, so you can't heal your characters anymore. It's a good way to retreat. You can just use it, warp out of the dungeon, get to a safe town, and then eventually warp back to the world that you're in. So now, as you can see, we're only able to warp into the entrance to the nasty dungeon. So, if you warp out in the middle of the nasty dungeon or another dungeon, you're going to have to warp back to where you were initially, but, it's a good way to retreat and save, potentially save your skin if you're having some trouble, so. Stats for the Young D, the monster on the left. Let's see here. Donk. Yeah, we took out the Young D, 1 hit. Boink! Yeah, Honey Mouse. Honey Mouse, I know I mentioned earlier that P will be doing some transformation in this dungeon. Eventually, at the end, P will transform into, will eventually be transforming into the ice crab. But Honey Mouse is also going to kind of go under some evolution. So right now, Honey Mouse is basically an agility-based robot. She's always been attacking with agility-based weapons, but eventually she's going to transition by the end of this dungeon into a strength-based robot, because we will be getting the Gungnir Spear, which is a multi-targeting spear. It can take out a whole group of enemies. So it is strength-based. So we'll eventually be, building up Honey Mouse as a strength-based robot. So that way she can take advantage of some of the strength-based weapons that we will be picking up in this dungeon and in the future worlds as well. So remember, way back at the beginning when I first started this, I said, for the most part, the one thing that strength weapons usually have against agility weapons is strength weapons tend to have a higher multiplier in terms of damage than agility-based weapons. For instance, I think the Cat Claw might be the strongest. Might be the strongest agility-based weapon, and that might have a multiplier of 11 or 12, where strength-based weapons can have a multiplier of 14 or 15. So you'll definitely do more damage with strength-based weapons. Of course, the cost is you have to raise both your agility and your strength. But we've raised Honey Mouse's agility really high, because we kept feeding her all those martial arts that the final uses of the martial arts that Vincent and Linus were using. So she was able to gain all those agilities stat increases that the martial arts gave without dedicating a slot to those items. So let's finish off these guys. There's the new Answer Sword, another new sword enemy. Take out the nightmares. Finish out these sword enemies can be pretty good. If you're not using I'm using with that P as a crab to thematically appropriate. So yeah, now P is finally being turned into a Wraith, and P will be a Wraith for quite a while. The next meat that P is going to have to eat is going to be from the next tier level monster, and we won't get to them until I believe the 6th floor of the Nasty Dungeon. So there'll be a few episodes here where P will be stuck not as a crab. So, but as soon as you're able to get P back as a crab, he'll be coming back to his crabby self. Another stat there with Vincent. And yeah, here's where I was mentioning. It looks like a dead end here, but if you walk into this wall, boom, more of the dungeon opens up. You can save a little bit of time. You can actually kind of walk through those little, the gate there. So. Tank's still working good. But once we get that Gungnir spear, that'll be, the tank will be obsoleted, so. Because the Gungnir spear will be able to, you know, one-shot everything, so. Good thing with P there is, P has that sleep, so P can, has a pretty high mana stat, so that sleep spell is pretty good at, shutting down mobs of enemies, so. If we want to, maybe shut down a group to allow, Vincent and Linus to get a few extra attacks in to hopefully gain some extra stats. Sleep can shut down a group, and when the enemy's sleeping, they can't hurt you. Catwoman's meat. Yeah, we're gonna be skipping most meat until we get to a new type of group of monsters, so. Alright, Snowcat. So, let's take out these enemies here. Samurai bow. That is a multi-targeting weapon. That pretty much can one-shot an entire group. So if you want to keep your robot as a keep your robot as an agility-based thing and still have a multi-targeting attack, samurai bows are a good way to do that. But I'm going to be going, like I said, with a strength-based robot eventually there for Honey Mouse. So this way, we'll use the samurai bow that we got in the Shogun's World, and there's another samurai bow in this dungeon. We'll use them for give Linus and Vincent a multi-targeting agility-based weapon that can take out an entire group. So when we need to. So. Right on, the choke fell. And Linus' agility went up. Woohoo! Another speed potion. We'll give that to Vincent. Remember, mutants, because mutants gain stats slower. Yeah, there's going to be quite a few more potions on this floor, so. This floor will actually be the last floor that we'll do in this episode. I see my time, we're getting pretty late, so try to keep most videos around the 20 minute, a little over 20 minutes if need be, but don't make them too long. So alright, let's take out this big group of enemies. More of those Lamias. Now they're a regular standard enemy. Remember, they were the third mini boss on the dragon race. Once again, going with that whole, you know, mini-bosses 2 worlds later, they tend to be regular, normal enemies. So yeah, we finally got the samurai bow right there. As you can see, took out that entire group of sharks there. So now does will Linus get an agility gain from that? Let's see. So just checking my notes here. So oh no agility. So. Oh well, we're going to be getting plenty, though, of stat gains, so. Right, let's take out these enemies here. Some more demons and Oh, I forgot to mention last time I was mentioning about the swords named after different things. So the Answerer is once again another Irish mythology weapon, like the Gaybolg, but it's not a spear. It actually is a sword, and it is the sword of Nuada, the first High King. So, yep. So once again, they're naming all these sword-type enemies after mythological swords from various various groups, various folklore tales. So, Touch is a good ability. Let's see if P gets to use it first. Yep. So we did all that damage, and we took back that 363 hit points that we did. So, yeah, Wraith's a pretty good monster. So, self-healing and deals some good damage. So, a Volcanon. We saw that Magnate had that. It's kind of a weaker tank. So, yeah, basically, it's if you have a tank, there's no point in using the Volcanon. So the tank does more damage, and the tank has that extra ability where it can potentially block melee attacks. So Volcanon, we may throw it on one of our characters if we just need clear up some inventory space, but overall, not a very good weapon. So. And another cat claw. Woohoo! We can finally give that to Honey Mouse here. And we'll end up passing down that laser sword to either Linus or Vincent. Have them use it to work on their agility. So, and that looks like a good place to stop. So come back in our next episode. We'll head down to the 3rd floor and make some more progress on the nasty dungeon. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.